Is Mental Health Awareness Month, Scott, and we can all do a better job of highlighting what can be an invisible issue for so many and help reduce the stigma to getting help.
Psychologist Dr. Laura Saunders is checking in with us this morning with ways mental illness can impact all of us. Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. And yes, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we are talking about what is mental health, what is mental wellness. We're going to talk about this for a few different segments this month and highlight different aspects of mental health.
Well, let's get the definition out there. What is mental health?
So it's important to recognize that mental health is not just the absence of serious mental illness, right? What it is, it's a social, psychological, emotional well-being, right? What is it that helps you feel good about yourself on a day-to-day basis? It's how you think, how you feel, how you behave. That is your overall mental health. And remember, you cannot have good physical health without your mental health as well.
Right. Doctor, what is the difference between addressing mental health with youth, tweens, as you get, to an early adulthood, and also our seniors? Is it very different, or is it the same template? Are there different approaches?
I think actually that's a great question, Renee, because I think what we want to look at is what are some of the developmental tasks in each stage of life, right? For children, there's different developmental tasks, and that's really about learning skills, right? Your mental health is better when you have some social skills, when you have the ability to regulate your emotions, when you are, building your cognitive skills and you're making behavioral adjustments. For your teens and your young adults, it is around more identity formation and, competence in developing careers. And for our seniors, for our adults and parents, it's just the day-to-day battle with getting by oftentimes. And then our seniors, it really is about developing a sense of meaning and generativity as opposed to stagnation in your life.
I think it's important to talk about I know I've had mental health episodes in my life. I think we've all had them. It's important to understand that they pass, right? Can we get that point out there? So
struggles can pass. What I generally recommend is that we don't wallow in our struggles and that we do things. And I'm not even saying necessarily go to therapy, but by doing things, it's talking to a friend, joining a support group, doing a volunteer activity, going on walks, changing your diet, getting more sleep. There's things that we can actively do that will help us feel better. And yes, to your point, Scott, move a muscle, change your mood. A lot of times negative emotions pass. You just have to work through them.
And some tips as we are headed into Mother's Day weekend, and for whoever that special person is in their life, this could be a great tip, especially dealing with a child, as we were just talking about moments ago, with some mental health issues. So what are some 4 core aspects of mental health that you can maybe make us more aware of today, Doctor?
So the 4 core aspects for children, the things that they need to do to have good, solid mental health is learn to regulate their emotions, to build social skills, to allow their cognitive development to, really allow for learning to take place, and engage in behavioral adjustment. Even for kids, their expectations at home are different than the expectations at school, might be different than the expectations at dance class or Taekwondo. So it's understanding that there are different expectations in different settings and learning those adjustments.
All right, and then we talk about trauma and abuse, anxiety, depression, behavioral problems. There's a list of things here that can create some not good feelings.
Right. So the things that thwart your upward development, and no social, emotional, or mental health development is linear, right? There's always stops and starts. You 2 steps up, a step back. But there's big things that can really impact it. Trauma obviously can impact it. Any kind of abuse or exposure to abuse, episodes of anxiety or depression or other mental health difficulties, other mood disorders. And sometimes people have vulnerabilities, right? Some individuals are more vulnerable or prone to experiencing anxiety or depression, and sometimes that's genetic, sometimes it's environmental. And, sometimes when, especially young people have behavioral challenges, behavioral issues that cause them to act out. And then there's intervention, or there's a lot of that stuff that goes on at home. that can have a real negative impact on overall well-being. So there's certainly things, there's a very large study out, it's called ACEs, right? Adverse Childhood Events, ACE. There's a whole list of them, but it's focusing on what we can do to help ourselves day to day.
You know, when I was going through a little episode in junior high school, my father said, there is no way we are getting him professional help because I don't want anybody to know about it. And my mother was like, we're going to get him some help. I think it's important to recognize that when you need help, you need help.
Right.
Right. And that really is the work that we've been trying to do in the mental health field over the decades. I'm not saying you're decades old, but over the decades to reduce the stigma, right? To make it more accessible. Many people struggle with anxiety, depression, mood issues, behavioral issues, attentional issues. There's many people that struggle. You're not alone, and it's okay to get help.
Thanks, Doc. We love you. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.